Breaking news. World's richest man can't afford a proper house. Well, not quite. But Elon Musk's choice to live in a tiny prefab home has left many scratching their heads. In this video, we'll unravel the mystery behind Musk's broke billionaire lifestyle. Spoiler alert, it's not because he blew all his money on Dogecoin. Picture this. You're strolling down a quiet suburban street, lined with modest homes and manicured lawns. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? But then you spot it. A tiny prefab house that looks like it could fit in your backyard. Now, what if I told you that the richest person on Earth calls this place home? You'd probably think I was pulling your leg. But believe it or not, this is the reality of Elon Musk's living situation. Let's talk numbers for a second, because Elon Musk's net worth isn't just big. It's astronomically huge. We're talking about a man whose wealth is measured in hundreds of billions. That's not millions, not even billions, but hundreds of billions. It's the kind of money that's hard for most of us to even comprehend. With that kind of cash, Musk could buy entire islands, build golden palaces, or even fund his own space program. Oh wait, he's already doing that last one. But here's where things get really weird. While Musk could easily afford to live in a mansion that makes Buckingham Palace look like a garden shed, he's chosen to live in a house that costs less than most people's cars. Yes, you heard that right. The man who could buy entire countries is living in a home that probably costs less than your average SUV. It's like finding out that Jeff Bezos shops at dollar stores or Mark Zuckerberg wears hand-me-downs. Now, you might be wondering, why would someone with unlimited resources choose to live like this? It's not what you'd expect from a billionaire, let alone the richest person on the planet. Is he trying to save money? Does he have a secret addiction to tiny house TV shows? Or is there something more profound going on here? This isn't just a case of being frugal. We're not talking about a guy who clips coupons or hunts for bargains at the local thrift store. No, there's more to this story than simple penny pinching. Musk's choice to live in such modest accommodations raises some pretty big questions about the nature of wealth and happiness. It challenges our assumptions about what it means to be rich and successful. Think about it. We're constantly bombarded with images of wealthy people living in enormous mansions, driving luxury cars, and jetting off to exotic locations. That's what we expect from the rich and famous. But here's Musk turning all of that on its head. It's like he's saying, I have all the money in the world, and this is what I choose to do with it. So how much is Elon Musk actually worth? Brace yourself, because the numbers are mind-boggling. As of our latest information, Musk's net worth hovers around $180 billion. That's billion with a B. To put that in perspective, if you had $1 for every star in our galaxy, you'd still have less money than Elon Musk. It's the kind of wealth that could fund entire nations, revolutionize industries, or solve global crises. And yet, here he is, living in a house that probably costs less than what he makes in a single minute. It's a paradox that's hard to wrap your head around. As we dig deeper into Musk's modest living arrangements, we'll uncover some surprising reasons behind his choices. Because let's face it, when the richest man in the world chooses to live like he's broke, there's got to be more to the story. Forget about gold-plated toilets and marble staircases. Elon Musk's home is so modest, it's almost unbelievable. But here's the kicker. This tiny house might just reveal more about Musk's vision for the future than any of his high-tech projects. What could a billionaire's miniature dwelling tell us about the world of tomorrow? Let's talk about Musk's house. It's not just small, it's downright tiny. We're talking about a prefabricated home that's about 375 square feet. That's smaller than most hotel rooms. To put it in perspective, the average American home is about 2,500 square feet. Musk's house? It could fit inside that average home more than 6 times over. But don't let its size fool you. This little house packs some surprising features. It's a boxable casita, a prefab home that can be set up in just a day. It comes with a full-size kitchen, a bathroom, and a living area that doubles as a bedroom. The house is also designed to be energy efficient with high insulation values and low energy use. It's like Musk brought his tech innovation mindset right into his living space. Now, let's take a moment to really appreciate the contrast here. On one hand, we have Musk's net worth of around $180 billion. On the other, we have a $50,000 house. If Musk's wealth was a 100-story skyscraper, his house would be about as tall as a single brick lying on its side. It's not just a difference in scale, it's a difference in galaxies. This isn't a case of keeping up with the Joneses. It's more like keeping down with the Joneses. While other billionaires are building mega mansions and buying private islands, Musk is living in a house that many would consider too small for a starter home. It's like he's playing a completely different game. Musk's housing choice goes against everything we think we know about the ultra-wealthy. We expect mansions, luxury penthouses, maybe even castles. But a prefab tiny home? That's not in the billionaire playbook. It's as if Musk took that playbook, tore it up, and used the pages to insulate his tiny house. So, what kind of house does the world's richest man actually live in? It's a home that's portable, affordable, and sustainable. It's a house that prioritizes function over form, efficiency over excess. In many ways, it's a physical representation of Musk's approach to business and innovation. Strip away the unnecessary, focus on the essentials, and always keep an eye on the future. As we explore Musk's humble abode, we see how it reflects his unique worldview. This isn't just about saving money or making a statement. It's about reimagining what's possible, challenging assumptions, and living according to one's principles. Musk's tiny home is more than just a place to sleep. It's a bold declaration about values, priorities, and the future of housing. In a world where bigger is often seen as better, Musk's tiny home stands as a contradiction. It's a reminder that true wealth isn't always about what you own, but about the freedom to choose how you live. And for Musk, that choice is clear. Think big, live small, and always keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Think Musk's tiny house is surprising? Wait until you see how it stacks up against his net worth. We're about to embark on a numerical journey that will challenge your perception of wealth and success. How much of Musk's fortune does his humble abode actually represent? Let's put things in perspective. Elon Musk's net worth hovers around $180 billion, while his boxable casita home costs a mere $50,000. That means his house represents about 0.0028% of his total wealth. If we were to scale this down to more relatable numbers, it would be like someone worth $100,000 living in a house that costs just $2.80. You read that right, less than the price of a cup of coffee. Now, let's look at it another way. If Musk's net worth was a 24-hour day, his house would occupy just 0.024 seconds. That's barely a blink of an eye. In fact, it's so brief that if you sneezed, you'd miss it entirely. It's like comparing a grain of sand to the entire Sahara Desert. The numbers are so extreme, they're almost comical. Musk could buy 3.6 million houses, identical to his current one, with his net worth. That's enough to house the entire population of Chicago with plenty left over. Or, to put it another way, he could buy a new $50,000 house every single day for the next 9,063 years before running out of money. This level of disparity between wealth and living expenses is unprecedented. Even among the ultra-wealthy, it's rare to see such a stark contrast. Most billionaires tend to live in homes that, while maybe not proportional to their wealth, at least reflect their financial status. But Musk? He's living in a home that costs less than what many people spend on a luxury car. It's not just unusual, it's practically unheard of among the ultra-wealthy. Imagine Jeff Bezos living in a studio apartment or Warren Buffett residing in a mobile home. That's the level of disconnect we're talking about here. Musk's choice flies in the face of everything we typically associate with billionaire lifestyles. Musk's decision challenges our assumptions about what success looks like. We're conditioned to believe that more money equals bigger houses, fancier cars, and more extravagant lifestyles. But here's Musk, with more money than most of us can even comprehend, choosing to live in a home that many would consider modest for a middle-class family. So how does Musk's $50,000 home really compare to his net worth? It's like comparing a drop of water to the Pacific Ocean. It's so minuscule that it almost defies logic. This comparison really drives home just how extraordinary Musk's living situation is. As we crunch these numbers, it becomes clear that Musk's choice of housing isn't just a quirky decision. It's a radical departure from societal norms. It raises questions about the true value of material possessions and what it means to live well. Is Musk onto something revolutionary, Or is this just another eccentricity of a billionaire who can afford to be different? Whatever the case, one thing's for sure. Musk's tiny home is making a big statement about wealth, success, and what really matters in life. You might be wondering, is Musk just incredibly cheap? There's more to this story than meets the eye. What could drive one of the world's richest men to live in a house that costs less than most people's cars? The answer might surprise you, and it's not just about being frugal. Elon Musk's decision to downsize wasn't made on a whim. It was a calculated move that reflects his broader philosophy and vision for the future. Musk has often spoken about the importance of allocating resources efficiently, and his housing choice is a prime example of this principle in action. By living in a modest prefab home, he's not just saving money, he's making a statement about what he truly values. But what exactly motivated Elon to downsize his living space so drastically? It turns out his reasons are as complex as the man himself. For one, Musk has repeatedly expressed his desire to focus on his work and his mission to make humanity multiplanetary. By simplifying his living situation, he's reducing distractions and freeing up mental space for his ambitious projects. There's also a strong environmental angle to Musk's choice. The boxable casita he calls home is designed to be energy efficient and sustainable. This aligns perfectly with Musk's commitment to combating climate change through his various ventures, including Tesla and Solar City. By living in a home that embodies these principles, Musk is practicing what he preaches. But that's not all. Musk's tiny home lifestyle also serves as a powerful message to his employees and the public. It demonstrates that he's willing to make personal sacrifices for the sake of his goals. This can be incredibly motivating for his team, showing that their leader is fully committed to the mission, even at the cost of personal luxury. What's really interesting is how Musk's housing choice ties into his broader ambitions. His companies are working on revolutionizing transportation, energy, and space travel. In many ways, his compact, efficient home mirrors the sleek, minimalist design philosophy seen in Tesla cars or SpaceX rockets. It's as if Musk is living in a physical manifestation of his company's ethos. Understanding Musk's motivations gives us insight into his unique approach to life and business. He's not just a billionaire looking to save a few bucks. He's a visionary using every aspect of his life, including his home, to push towards his goals. It's a stark reminder that for Musk, success isn't measured by the size of his house or the luxury of his lifestyle, but by the impact of his work. If you thought Musk's tiny home was just an eccentric billionaire's whim, think again. It's a carefully considered choice that reflects his values, priorities, and vision for the future. In a world where excess is often celebrated, Musk's modest living arrangement stands out as a bold statement about what really matters. It challenges us to reconsider our own priorities and what we truly need to live a fulfilling life. Just when you think you've got Elon Musk figured out, he throws another curveball. His tiny home might scream frugality, but is there more to this story than meets the eye? Some critics are calling foul, claiming it's all just smoke and mirrors. So what's really going on behind the scenes of Musk's modest lifestyle? On the surface, Musk's decision to live in a $50,000 prefab home seems like the ultimate display of frugality. It's a stark contrast to the lavish lifestyles we typically associate with billionaires. But some skeptics aren't buying it. They argue that Musk's modest living situation is nothing more than a carefully crafted PR stunt, designed to cultivate an image of relatability and down-to-earth values. These critics point out that Musk is no stranger to controversy and has a history of making headline-grabbing moves. They suggest that his tiny home lifestyle is just another way to keep himself in the public eye and generate positive press. After all, in a world where billionaires are often vilified, presenting oneself as humble and frugal can be a smart PR move. But is it really that simple? There's evidence that suggests Musk's frugality goes beyond just his housing choice. Employees at Tesla and SpaceX have shared stories that paint a picture of a genuinely modest boss. They talk about Musk sleeping on the factory floor during production crunches, flying economy class, and driving relatively modest cars, at least by billionaire standards. One former Tesla employee recounted how Musk once refused to stay at a luxury hotel during a business trip, opting instead for a budget-friendly option. Another spoke about Musk's habit of eating the same cafeteria food as his employees rather than having gourmet meals catered. These anecdotes suggest that Musk's frugal lifestyle isn't just for show. It seems to be a consistent part of his day-to-day life. However, the truth about Musk's lifestyle choices is more nuanced than it first appears. While he may live in a tiny home and display frugal habits in many areas, he's not exactly living like a monk. Musk owns multiple properties, including a $70 million private jet. He's also been known to throw lavish parties and indulge in expensive hobbies. This apparent contradiction between Musk's public image of frugality and some of his more extravagant expenditures has led to further skepticism. Critics argue that Musk cherry-picks which aspects of his lifestyle to make public, carefully curating an image that serves his purposes. So, is Musk's minimalist lifestyle just for show? The answer isn't black and white. It seems that Musk does genuinely embrace frugality in many aspects of his life, but he's not above enjoying his wealth when it suits him. His lifestyle choices appear to be a mix of personal philosophy, practicality, and yes, perhaps a dash of PR savvy. By examining the evidence, we can draw our own conclusions about Musk's sincerity. What's clear is that Musk's relationship with wealth and luxury is complex. He seems to value efficiency and practicality over opulence, but he's not afraid to spend big when he feels it's justified. In the end, Musk's lifestyle choices, like the man himself, defy simple categorization. They're a reminder that even when it comes to billionaires, things are rarely as straightforward as they seem. While Musk's tiny home has captured the public's imagination, its impact reaches far beyond his personal life. The billionaire's frugal living choices are sending shockwaves through his corporate empire, influencing everything from company culture to employee expectations. But is this ripple effect entirely positive, or does it come with hidden costs? At Tesla and SpaceX, Musk's modest lifestyle has become a powerful symbol. Employees often speak of their CEO's willingness to sleep on the factory floor during crunch times, or eat the same cafeteria food as his workers. These stories have created a corporate culture that values hard work and sacrifice over material comforts. It's as if Musk is saying, if I can live in a tiny home, you can pull an all-nighter to meet our launch deadline. But does this mentality always boost morale? Not everyone thinks so. Some critics argue that Musk's extreme work ethic and Spartan lifestyle create unrealistic expectations for his employees. After all, most Tesla engineers don't have billions in the bank to cushion their sacrifices. There's a growing concern that this work hard, live modestly ethos might be pushing some workers to the brink of burnout. On the flip side, many employees find Musk's example inspiring. They see a leader who's willing to put his money, or lack thereof, where his mouth is. One SpaceX engineer shared, "Seeing Elon drive a Tesla Model 3 instead of some fancy sports car makes me feel like we're all in this together." This sense of shared purpose and sacrifice can be a powerful motivator, especially in high-pressure industries like tech and aerospace. The influence of Musk's personal choices on his companies goes beyond just employee morale. It's shaping the very image of Tesla and SpaceX in the public eye. These companies are increasingly seen as scrappy underdogs taking on established industries, rather than just another set of corporate giants. Musk's tiny home becomes a metaphor for his companies: small, efficient, and revolutionary. But this image cuts both ways. While it might attract idealistic young talent eager to change the world, it could potentially turn off more experienced professionals looking for stability and comfortable working conditions. One former Tesla executive anonymously shared, "It's great to be part of a mission, but at some point you want to go home to something nicer than a sleeping bag on a factory floor." So, how exactly does Elon's frugal living affect his company's image? It's a complex picture. On one hand, it reinforces the narrative of Tesla and SpaceX as disruptive innovators, willing to challenge not just technological norms, but lifestyle ones as well. This image resonates strongly with customers who see themselves as early adopters and changemakers. On the other hand, it raises questions about work-life balance and employee well-being. Some investors worry that Musk's extreme lifestyle could lead to unsustainable work practices that might eventually harm the company's long-term success. Understanding this impact gives us insight into Musk's unique leadership style. He's not just a CEO. He's a symbol, a walking embodiment of his company's values. By choosing to live in a tiny home, Musk is making a statement about what he believes is truly important: the mission, not material comforts. As we watch this corporate ripple effect unfold, one thing is clear: Musk's personal choices are far more than just personal. They're shaping company cultures, influencing public perceptions, and potentially redefining what it means to be a tech leader in the 21st century. Whether this will lead to long-term success or burnout remains to be seen, but one thing's for sure: it's a leadership style unlike any other in the corporate world. Musk's frugality extends far beyond his tiny house. If you thought living in a prefab home was the extent of his penny-pinching ways, you're in for a shock. The billionaire's habits are so surprisingly thrifty they might make even the most budget-conscious among us raise an eyebrow. Let's start with his travel preferences. While most billionaires jet around in luxurious private planes, Musk often opts for commercial flights. And we're not talking first class here. He's been spotted flying economy. Imagine boarding your flight and finding the richest man in the world squeezed into the middle seat next to you. It's a scenario that seems almost comical, yet it's entirely possible with Musk. His dining choices are equally surprising. Forget about Michelin-starred restaurants or personal chefs. Musk is known to grab quick meals at inexpensive chain restaurants. He's been seen chowing down on dollar menu items and has even tweeted about his love for cheap fast food. It's a far cry from the caviar and champagne lifestyle we typically associate with the ultra-wealthy. But here's where things get really interesting. Musk's frugality isn't consistent across all areas of his life. While he pinches pennies in some surprising ways, he's not afraid to splurge when it aligns with his values and interests. For instance, he owns a $70 million private jet. However, he justifies this expense as a necessary tool for his busy schedule, allowing him to work efficiently while traveling between his various company locations. These habits often clash with our expectations of how a billionaire should behave. We're used to seeing the ultra-rich flaunt their wealth with expensive cars, designer clothes, and lavish parties. Musk, on the other hand, seems to approach personal finance with the same innovative mindset he applies to his tech ventures. He's not just following a standard playbook for wealth management. He's writing his own rules. What other surprising ways does Musk cut back on expenses? Reports suggest he's been known to sleep on friends' couches rather than booking hotel rooms. He's also famously averse to taking vacations, preferring to pour his time and energy into his work. Even his wardrobe is relatively modest, often consisting of simple t-shirts and jeans rather than designer suits. By examining these habits, we get a clearer picture of Musk's overall philosophy on wealth. It's not about hoarding money or living a life of luxury. Instead, Musk seems to view his wealth primarily as a tool for achieving his ambitious goals. He's willing to live frugally in many areas of his life so he can funnel more resources into his companies and projects. This approach reveals a lot about Musk's priorities and values. He's not interested in impressing others with displays of wealth. Rather, his focus is on making a significant impact on the world through his work. It's a mindset that challenges our traditional notions of success and what it means to be rich. If Musk's tiny house lifestyle seems unconventional, wait until you see how it stacks up against his billionaire peers. When we zoom out to look at the lifestyles of tech's ultra-rich, we find a landscape as diverse as their innovations. From sprawling mansions to modest apartments, the contrasts are stark and revealing. Let's start with Jeff Bezos, the Amazon founder who's known for his lavish spending. While Musk calls a 375-square-foot prefab home his base, Bezos owns a $165 million mansion in Beverly Hills. It's a property so vast it could probably house Musk's entire SpaceX team. But that's not all. Bezos also has a $23 million Washington, D.C. mansion and multiple apartments in New York City. Talk about a real estate empire. Then there's Mark Zuckerberg, the Facebook, now Meta, CEO. Zuckerberg's approach falls somewhere between Musk's minimalism and Bezos's extravagance. He owns a $7 million home in Palo Alto, which, while certainly not tiny, is relatively modest for a tech billionaire. However, Zuckerberg also dropped $100 million on a 700-acre property in Hawaii. It's as if he's trying to balance frugality with indulgence. What's really interesting is how these choices reflect different philosophies about wealth. Musk seems to view his money primarily as a tool for achieving his ambitious goals, hence the tiny house and reinvestment in his companies. Bezos, on the other hand, appears more comfortable with traditional displays of wealth. And Zuckerberg? He's walking a tightrope between the two approaches, but it's not just about houses. The contrasts extend to every aspect of these billionaires' lives. While Musk flies commercial and eats fast food, others in his wealth bracket are known for their private jets and personal chefs. Bill Gates, for instance, owns a $40 million private jet. That's nearly 800 times the cost of Musk's entire house. These lifestyle choices raise important questions about the responsibilities of the ultra-wealthy. Should billionaires live modestly and reinvest their wealth like Musk? Or is there value in the job creation and economic stimulation that comes from more lavish spending? Take Larry Ellison, the Oracle co-founder. He owns 98% of the Hawaiian island of Lanai. It's an extravagance that's hard to comprehend, but Ellison argues that his ownership has brought jobs and development to the island. Is this a more responsible use of wealth than living in a tiny home? So, how does Musk's lifestyle really compare to other tech billionaires? In many ways, he's an outlier. While others build compounds and buy islands, Musk chooses to live in a home smaller than most people's garages. It's a choice that sets him apart and reinforces his image as a maverick in the tech world. But here's the kicker. Despite his modest living arrangements, Musk still indulges in some big-ticket items. Remember that $70 million private jet? It shows that even the most frugal billionaire has his limits. These comparisons help us understand the unique position Musk occupies in the world of tech wealth. He's not just another billionaire with a big house and fancy cars. Instead, he's crafted an image that's part ascetic, part visionary, and entirely unique. Whether you see it as genuine frugality or clever PR, there's no denying that Musk's lifestyle choices have set him apart from his peers in the billionaire club. Musk's tiny house lifestyle has sparked a fascinating debate. Can a billionaire really be relatable? It's a question that's been buzzing around social media and water coolers alike. On the surface, Musk's choice to live in a modest prefab home seems like an attempt to bridge the gap between the ultra-wealthy and the average Joe. But does it actually work? Let's face it, most of us can't fathom what it's like to have billions in the bank. Yet, Musk's decision to downsize his living arrangements has had an unexpected effect on his public image. Suddenly, the man behind Tesla and SpaceX doesn't seem so far removed from the rest of us. It's as if he's saying, "Hey, I may be rich, but I'm not that different from you." What's really interesting is how this plays out in the workplace. Employees at Musk's companies report feeling a stronger connection to their boss, knowing he's not living in a golden palace. One Tesla engineer shared, "Seeing Elon drive a Model 3 instead of some fancy sports car makes me feel like we're all in this together." It's a sentiment that's echoed across Musk's enterprises, creating a sense of shared purpose and camaraderie. But here's where things get tricky. Does living broke really make Musk more accessible to the average person? After all, he's still a billionaire who can buy pretty much anything he wants. His tiny house is a choice, not a necessity. And let's not forget, Musk still owns a $70 million private jet. It's a far cry from the financial realities most people face. There's a fine line between relatability and perceived inauthenticity. Some critics argue that Musk's modest lifestyle is nothing more than a clever PR stunt. They claim it's a calculated move to make him seem more down to earth while he continues to amass astronomical wealth. It's a perspective that highlights the skepticism many feel towards the ultra-rich, no matter how they choose to live. Yet, Musk's approach undeniably challenges our perceptions of how the ultra-wealthy should behave. We're used to seeing billionaires flaunt their wealth with mansions, yachts, and private islands. Musk's tiny house stands in stark contrast to these lavish displays. It forces us to question our assumptions about success and what it looks like. So, does living broke make Elon more relatable to his employees? The answer isn't straightforward. On one hand, his lifestyle choices do seem to create a sense of solidarity among his workforce. Employees feel like they're part of a mission larger than themselves, led by someone who's willing to make personal sacrifices for the cause. On the other hand, the reality of Musk's wealth can't be ignored. No matter how modestly he lives, he still has resources and opportunities that are unimaginable to most. This disparity can create a disconnect, even as his lifestyle choices aim to bridge the gap. Exploring this question reveals the complex relationship between wealth, image, and leadership. Musk's approach shows that relatability isn't just about living like everyone else. It's about demonstrating shared values and a commitment to a common goal. Whether you see his tiny house as genuine or a clever tactic, there's no denying that it's reshaping the conversation about wealth and leadership in the tech world. While Musk's tiny house has become a symbol of his frugality, it's not the whole story. Just when you think you've got him figured out, Elon throws a curveball. Despite his modest living arrangements, there are areas where the billionaire doesn't hesitate to open his wallet wide. These unexpected indulgences paint a more complex portrait of Musk's relationship with his wealth. Let's start with the elephant in the room, or should we say the jet on the runway. Musk owns a $70 million Gulfstream G650ER private jet. That's right, the man who flies economy on commercial flights also has a luxurious private plane at his disposal. It's a stark contrast to his $50,000 tiny home, isn't it? But Musk justifies this expense as a necessary tool for his hectic schedule, allowing him to work efficiently while jetting between his various company locations. But that's not all. Musk's car collection might raise a few eyebrows too. While he's often seen driving Tesla models, no surprise there, he's also owned some pretty impressive vehicles over the years. These include a McLaren F1, which he famously crashed, a Jaguar E-Type, and even a submarine car from a James Bond movie. Not exactly your average Joe's garage, is it? What's really interesting is Musk's approach to art. In 2013, he spent $920,000 at an auction on a James Bond Lotus Esprit submarine car prop. Why? Because he wanted to turn it into a real, functioning submarine car. It's a perfect example of how Musk's splurges often align with his innovative spirit and boyish sense of wonder. But perhaps the most surprising area where Musk doesn't pinch pennies is real estate. Despite his tiny house lifestyle, he's owned multiple properties over the years. At one point, he owned 6 houses in the Bel Air neighborhood of Los Angeles. However, true to his unpredictable nature, he sold them all in 2020, stating he was selling almost all physical possessions. So what does this tell us about Musk's priorities? It seems that while he's content to live simply in his day-to-day life, he's not afraid to spend big on things that fuel his passions or serve a practical purpose for his work. His splurges are less about luxury for luxury's sake and more about enabling his ambitious goals or indulging his technological curiosity. This nuanced approach to wealth challenges our perceptions of what it means to be a billionaire. Musk isn't living like a monk, but he's also not flaunting his wealth in traditional ways. Instead, he's crafting a unique lifestyle that reflects his values and priorities. It's a reminder that even when it comes to the ultra-wealthy, things are rarely as simple as they seem. By examining these exceptions to Musk's frugal rule, we get a more complete picture of the man behind the billions. It's not just about living in a tiny house or flying economy. It's about making conscious choices about where to allocate resources, whether that's a private jet for efficiency or a movie prop to fuel innovation. In the end, Musk's relationship with wealth is as complex and fascinating as the man himself. You've heard the saying, less is more. But could it actually be true when it comes to productivity? Elon Musk seems to think so. The billionaire's choice to live in a tiny house isn't just about saving money. It might be his secret weapon for getting more done. Let's picture Musk's daily routine. Instead of waking up in a sprawling mansion with endless rooms to navigate, he starts his day in a compact 375-square-foot space. Everything he needs is within arm's reach. No time wasted wandering from room to room or deciding which of his many possessions to use. It's simplicity at its finest, and for a man juggling multiple companies, every minute counts. But that's not all. Living in a tiny house eliminates many of the distractions that come with managing a large estate. No need to worry about landscaping, pool maintenance, or which wing of the house needs repainting. For Musk, this means more mental energy focused on his ambitious projects rather than household management. However, let's not pretend it's all smooth sailing. Living in such close quarters presents unique challenges for a busy CEO. Imagine trying to take important business calls or hold virtual meetings in a space where your bed is just a few feet from your workspace. It's a scenario that would drive many of us crazy, but Musk seems to thrive in it. What's really interesting is how Musk has designed his home setup to maximize efficiency. Every inch of his tiny house is carefully planned to minimize wasted time and movement. It's like he's applied the same principles of efficiency he uses in his Tesla factories to his living space. From a ergonomically designed workspace to strategically placed storage solutions, everything serves a purpose. This approach to living spaces isn't just about convenience. It reflects Musk's overall philosophy on productivity. He's famous for his grueling work schedule and ambitious timelines. By simplifying his home life, he's created an environment that supports his intense work ethic. There are no luxurious distractions tempting him to relax when he could be working on the next big innovation. But how exactly does Musk's simple lifestyle impact his productivity? While we can't peek inside his personal planner, the evidence suggests it's having a positive effect. Musk is known for his incredible output, often working 80 to 100-hour weeks across multiple companies. His tiny house lifestyle seems to be an extension of his work hard, live simply ethos. Understanding this connection gives us insight into Musk's incredible success. It's not just about working long hours, it's about creating an environment that supports intense focus and minimizes distractions. For Musk, that environment happens to be a tiny prefab house that most people would consider too small for comfort. So, the next time you're struggling to focus in your spacious home office, remember Elon Musk and his tiny house. Maybe the key to unlocking your productivity isn't a bigger workspace, but a simpler one. After all, if it works for the man revolutionizing space travel and electric cars, it might just work for the rest of us too. As we wrap up our journey through Elon Musk's world of frugal living, it's clear that his broke billionaire lifestyle is more than just a quirky choice. It's a statement, a philosophy, and a challenge to everything we think we know about wealth and success. Musk's tiny house isn't just a place to sleep, it's a symbol of his priorities and vision for the future. But here's the thing, Musk's approach isn't just about saving money, it's about rethinking what it means to live well. While most billionaires are building mansions and buying islands, Musk is showing us that true luxury might just be the freedom to focus on what really matters. His lifestyle challenges us to question our own relationship with material possessions and success. As we've seen, there's much more to Musk's lifestyle than meets the eye. From his commercial flights to his fast food habits, every choice seems calculated to maximize efficiency and minimize distractions. But what's next for this unconventional billionaire? Will he downsize even further or surprise us with a sudden splurge? With Musk, you never know. One thing's for sure, whatever he does next, it'll get people talking.